Greetings, my dudes, this dudettes includes. Come enlighten your brain with this brand new arcane and dispel all your incertitudes. Now today we're going to be playing around with a rather controversial new arcane by the name of Melee Doughty, and the reason it's controversial is because some people think it's garbage, some people think it's really good. Now I know Doughty means brave, right? But to me it still sounds kind of silly because we have Merciless and Deadhead, and then Doughty, it's kind of like an evil wizard that calls himself Tim. The weapon I decided to use this arcane on is the Ceramic Dagger. This requires mastery rank 3, does primarily puncture damage with mediocre crit and decent status. Now the reason I chose the Ceramic Dagger for this arcane is because Melee Doughty increases your final crit damage based on your puncture proc chance. You get plus 1x crit multiplier for every 10% chance to proc puncture at maximum rank. One issue with the Ceramic Dagger is that its blueprint is only available from the Nightwave shop, so if it's not available, you just can't get it. Though luckily the blueprint is pretty cheap and the build requirements are not that bad, it's just a handful of resources. You will, however, have to farm an Incarno adapter from Circuit into Veery, because without it the Ceramic Dagger is mediocre at best. So let us give this new arcane a shot and see if it's any good, shall we? I would ideally not want to do the initial combo stuff and actually do like a normal build, so we'll probably end up swapping these two around, though I think we will keep the crit chance, that's just too strong. Let's switch this one to range, I guess. Yeah, that seems really good. I'm not sure if I want to switch this one as well. For now, you know what, let's just keep the original one for now. Hi Ordis. Let's move this onto config C for now. So how does this work exactly? Is it going to be like a breakpoint thing? Does it work with Weeping Wounds? Just so many questions right now. What happens if I put in melee prowess? Oh, it actually shows up on the stat. That's so cool. Yeah. And it doesn't seem to be a breakpoint thing. It just adds the appropriate... Oh, that's so cool. Well then, let's get a stance. It doesn't really matter. Stinging Thorn, sure. Primed Pressure Point 2. We also want Blood Rush. And I have a Umbra Polarity, so I guess we can run Sacrificial Steel too. It's gonna be nice if we go for Tennokai, I guess. And we're gonna have a lot of crit damage, so crit chance isn't bad. I hope this works with Weeping Wounds, because that would be really nice. This is kind of weird, but Sundering Strike should actually give us crit damage because it gives us a higher chance to proc puncture, right? Yeah, it gives us 0.2 extra crit. That's so cool. We might actually use this. Don't know if this is necessarily worth it, but what else am I going to use? I don't want to use Elemental Mods because that will lower our chance to proc puncture. Primed Reach for more range, always good on daggers. And let's also get an Exos adapter and run some kind of Tennokai. I wonder if this works with the arcane. Might as well try it, so let's put it on and go test it. Oh, hold up, what is that? Aha, it tells you that is very nice actually. Oh, it's going up, which means Weeping Wounds actually works. Very good indeed. You know what, for a pure puncture weapon, the damage is actually kinda nutty. But I mean, like, what do you expect? We're getting, look, 11.9x extra crit multiplier just from the arcane. That's kinda nuts. I should have done this to begin with, but I'm going to switch to Breacher's Opportunity because it's just more base damage. We don't use the initial combo from that one. It's kind of strange, but it's not bad. Like, it needs something. This is not quite it, but it's getting there. Yeah, there is one. I've never used this before. How much puncture does it give you? The same amount, so this is just straight up better than Sundering Barb. Yeah, this is just straight up better. How much crit multi? What? 1.2x extra crit multi just from that? Dude. That's actually kind of disgusting. We're getting 13x crit multi from the arcane. Let's go. This is surprisingly good. Like, I'm pleasantly surprised by this. The damage is actually really nice. Because, like, we're not stripping their armor. We don't have a pet. We're not using, like, Warframe abilities or anything. That's just a weapon on its own. And it's... like clearing Steel Path very comfortably. Can I please get a Tennokai proc? Hello, there we go. Shunk! Yep, big damage. Big damage. I think the main issue with this arcane is not that it's bad, but that it has some really strong competition. Like, you know, because anytime you do anything melee, you have to compare it to like a big slam build and an influence build and a big elementalist build with like blast and stuff. One thing I will say for sure though is that it's a really good standalone build. Like, this does not need any help. Okay, a few things here. I want to try Pointed Wind instead. I also want to switch Tennokai to... Yep, that's the one, Discipline's Merit, to make it more reliable. And I also want to try Condition Overload. I want to see how this scales with like a bunch of help. So we're going to give it Arcane Strike for the attack speed. We're going to run Nourish for Vital. And we're going to get Herald with Corrosive and Cold. Fantastic. Fun times are upon us, my dudes and dudettes. You know, I've seen some setups pop off pretty hard in my time. But I don't think I've seen anything pop off quite this hard. What is this damage? I actually don't think I can do this bounty. I've tried over and over and over again, but I kill things way too fast. I can't actually open anything up to a Mercy Finisher. Let's try here, like... See that? There's... What? This is kind of wild, actually. Look at that, 14 million damage. Just like that, because why not? So here's our melee Doughty setup for the Ceramic Dagger. The stance doesn't really matter, that's up to you, pick whichever stance feels the best. For our Tennokai trigger, we have Discipline's Merit, which changes Tennokai from a random proc chance to where it procs every 4 hits. This makes Tennokai much more reliable. Then for the actual mods, we have either Condition Overload if you're running a priming pet and you're running Nourish and stuff, or you can run Prime Pressure Point or even Sacrificial Pressure if not. We followed that up with Blood Rush and Sacrificial Steel for a bunch of crit chance, Primed Reach for a ton of range, Jungler's Barbs for puncture damage and status chance, then we have Organ Shatter for more crit damage, and we top it off with Melee Prowess and Weeping Wounds for status chance. The star of the show here is the relatively new arcane called Melee Doughty. This gives you 1x extra crit multi at maximum rank for every 10% chance to proc puncture. This is why the build is so weird. We don't want any elemental mods and stuff like that getting in the way of our puncture, so we just scale raw damage, crit, puncture, and status. For our evolutions, we run Breacher's Opportunity because it simply gives more base damage than the other one. Then we have Orokin Reach for extra range, and finally Absolute Valor for more base crit chance. Now unfortunately, this setup doesn't really pop off until you give it some extra stuff. So for this video, we were running the Naramon Focus School for combo sustain. We use Arcane Strike on our frame for attack speed, as well as a Nourish for priming Vital. And we use the priming pet, in this case a Hound, with its Batoten modded for corrosive and cold. I think this setup is really cool and is worth giving a shot, but there are a few caveats here. So as I mentioned already, this setup does need a little bit of help to get going, or rather to absolutely explode with damage. It doesn't really get going, it just becomes insane. And it doesn't work very well on most weapons. The Ceramic Dagger is one of the few weapons where you can actually utilize it, because if you want to use this setup, the weapon needs to have good crit and status chance, and it also needs to do primarily puncture damage. If it's missing even one of those things, it's not gonna work. So yeah, very, very niche, but good. And as always guys, I thank you very much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Then I would also like to extend a special thank you to all the channel members. Thank you very much guys, I really appreciate your support, it means a lot to me. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.